Hey, David, congratulations. You mentioned it in the statement. You certainly touched on it a little bit here about growing up a Mets fan and how special this particular job is. Can you just describe a little bit more in detail what this organization has meant to you over the course of your life and, again, how special the opportunity is to be the one in charge of leading it moving forward now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, I grew up in baseball, and I think we all have different hobbies or pastimes or things that teach us different lessons in life. And for me, a lot of those lessons came through baseball and frankly came through the Mets. And I spent a lot of time at Shea Stadium as a kid with family, with friends. I snuck into the ballpark a few times. And so now I appreciate that they're letting me in here without a ticket. But, it's humbling that I get to sit here right now, that I get to be a part of leading this organization forward. And I know what this means to our fan base, and it's special for me.
Steve, for you, I realize it's a long, winding road from 3 years ago to today. I'm wondering from
sort of dog years.
Yeah. Okay. But from the moment that David announced last year that he wasn't going to stay running baseball operations with the Brewers, did you at that point stop looking for someone else, thinking this was your man? And can you take us through that chronology? If not, have you talked to other people? Who were they, etc.?
Well, listen, I mean, Dave and I first met in August, right? So while he seemed like a reasonably good candidate, until you actually meet somebody and get to know them, it's impossible to know whether he's the guy. And so, I mean, it's also a question of do we get along? Did we share the similar philosophies? And all that was to be determined. So it was my goal eventually, obviously at some point to fill this position. But you never know if it was going to be David or somebody else until you actually get in a room with somebody and, have these conversations and flesh out, philosophies.
Had you talked to anyone else or investigated anyone else in the last year?
That's a good question. I had no serious discussions with anybody.
This question's for Steve. I think there's been a perception around the game that David would be a good fit here for a long time. I'm curious when his name kind of first crossed your radar, and likewise for David, when did you see this as maybe a potential reality for you?
Well, I came into baseball 3 years ago, and, through conversations, there were probably 4 or 5 executives of David's ilk that, people talked about. Obviously, just because their names doesn't mean they're available, which meant I was going to stay patient. I was going to wait and make sure that, we got the right person as the president of baseball ops. And that's what I did. And, things have to align. People have to be available. And so this was the opportunity. And so everything kind of came together.
In terms of when did I think
just when did you see this as something that could potentially happen for you, even if just a pipe dream?
Yeah, when I got off the phone with Steve after we agreed to a deal, look, I've been around this sport long enough, and I've worked on deals long enough to know that until you have a deal, you don't have a deal, and things can change. So I tried to stay pretty balanced and not get ahead of myself. When Steve and I first had a chance to meet in mid-August, that's the first time where I really thought, wow, this could be a fit, and this could work, and so really from that point forward, it was at the forefront of my mind.
David, welcome. Sustainable competitiveness. When does that begin? 2024, 2025, or beyond?
Our goal is to begin that now. We are going to put together and do our best to put together a team in 2024 that is competitive. And we're going to do it in a way that does not detract from our competitiveness in the future years. That's a needle to thread, but that's our goal, and that should be our goal. We're in the biggest market in the country. We have plenty of resources, and so we're going to aim to put together a competitive club next year that our fans can be excited about, and ensure that we're doing it in a manner and in a way that doesn't detract from those future years.
I want to ask you about Pete Alonso. Obviously, he's a homegrown star, one of the two biggest stars on this team, along with Lindor. He's got a year to go before he's a free agent. How do you view the situation with Alonso? And is the fact that he's homegrown or the fact that he is good in the clubhouse, does any of that weigh into it, or is it all about how good a player he is?
No, I think the entire package weighs into it. So Pete is a great player. He is also good in the clubhouse, and he is also homegrown. All of that matters. I know over the summer there was some trade speculation, and look, I'll just say, I expect Pete to be the opening day first baseman next year. Pete's an important member of this team. He's an important member of this organization, and I think we're really fortunate to have him.